Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 2 of What If Naruto Was a League Summoner. If you guys enjoy this What If, and want to see part 3 of it, comment down below, and let me know. The like goal for this video is 200 likes. So like this video, to let me know that you're interested in this series, and you want the next part. And go ahead, and check out other What Ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. You're so bad, Bronze-senpai. Those words from Kaneko hit him harder than a smash to the face. Oh my, better luck next time, Naruto-kun. The Nadeshiko of Kuo Academy said as she put a comforting hand on the new member of the Occult Research Club's shoulder, but even so didn't make him feel any better as he had his face down, and his forehead rested on the table. Behind her, Kibayudo was having a similar reaction to Naruto's 9th consecutive defeat to Kaneko, standing with Rias who had an amused look on her face, while the whole club itself was the current center of attention of the whole internet cafe, which consisted of mostly male customers. Rias herself would never believe that there would be a day for her to step foot into an internet cafe. Sure, she had been to a bunch of cafe before, but not one that also served as a base of operation for hardcore gamers like Naruto Uzumaki. She had her reasons to have never done so, and one of them was obviously because she found online video games and the related stuff's unbenefits with the amount of time she would need to waste to grind her skills to certain levels, whereas she could use those times to do something more useful. As she wished to relieve stress and hone her skills, chess was her go-to. But it seemed that everything would have to change today. In order to understand the power that Naruto held in his hands, she had decided to take her peerage out for a club activity at the internet cafe he usually went to. At the moment, he was having 1v1 matches against Kaneko, who had been utterly smashing him around with zero mercy. Rias and the other two had decided to watch for the time being, to understand what the game was about, finding themselves intrigued, as they had never played it before in their life. They had also booked and turned on the 3 PCs next to them, so they didn't have to worry about not having one to play with Naruto and Kaneko later, as all 5 of them made a perfect team game, as Naruto had said. As Naruto went into his 10th match against Kaneko, who casually picked Yumi, a harmless-looking cat champion riding on a flying book, against his Darius, making it the first non-mirror match that Naruto actually had a chance of winning. Rias couldn't help but think back at the powers that he had shown to them earlier Kuo. Apparently, Naruto seemed to have a sacred gear with the power to create and manifest the weapons of the champions from the MOBA game League of Legends that was so much more than mere constructs, because as he had shown them and Kaneko had confirmed it. Not only did the weapons look exactly like the ones in the games, they also worked and fundamentally behaved the same way, allowing him to use abilities that were just like the ones that the champions used in the game. While creation sacred gears, which allowed the users to create matter objects out of nothing, weren't extremely rare, one with the power like Naruto's was unheard of. After checking a book that specifically summarized and recorded every known sacred gear, Naruto had found out that something with the power to create all kinds of weapons with almost all kinds of abilities was something that had never been heard or seen before in history. The closest thing to Naruto's sacred gear that she could think of was Annihilation Maker, a top-tier Longinus tier sacred gear that granted its user the ability to create an assortment of creatures from their shadows, and based on their imagination, and as such, the more powerful the user's imagination, the more powerful the creature was upon its creation. It was obvious that Naruto's sacred gear wasn't Annihilation Maker, but if it was an imagination-based sacred gear as well, then it was close. Very close to the power that the Longinus type sacred gear holds. Runeterra Arsenal was the name Naruto had given his sacred gear. In lore, Runeterra was the world of League of Legend, where extraordinary individuals were chosen as champions to fight in an arena that was called the Fields of Justice. Currently, there were a total 154 champions in the game, and while Naruto had told her that he still had no idea how to use magic-based weapons and trained abilities, just the fact that he could create 154 different weapons with different abilities to deal with different combat situations showed just how powerful he could be. Which led to a question that it made Rias and her other servants shiver when he mentioned it. Could he summon the champions of the game themselves? If his power was truly that of a sacred gear, then such a thing would not be impossible. The blonde had only recently awakened it, so the sacred gear was without a doubt still in the earliest state of development. Given time, he might even be capable of doing something like that, but to what extent, Rias didn't know. However, like her other servants, the crimson-haired princess would love to find out. Ah, what the hell is that healing? Naruto cried out in shock, breaking Rias out of her musing. Focusing her attention back on his screen, Rias saw that Naruto's champion was in critical health. It was the same for Kaneko's cute little cat after Naruto all-out assault with all of his abilities and summoner spells. However, a single heal from Yumi's ability, Zumi's, was enough to bring her back to full health, much to the blonde's shock and dismay. You're dead, Bronze-senpai. Kaneko told him nonchalantly, and then attacked him with a single basic attack, before casting the ignite spell on Naruto's champion, finishing him in the process. ARA. The white-haired girl finished with a sigh and a rare, amused smile as she turned her head to look at the defeated Naruto, who had a dejected look on his face as he slumped down the table. Bronze Gatekeeper, that was Naruto's nickname in the lead community. Apparently, her new servant was so bad that he had played for 11 seasons and had never actually gotten out of bronze before. How could someone get stuck in the same level of gaming skills for 11 years was beyond her. It was also worth mentioning that Iron Division had only been added a couple of seasons ago, which meant that Naruto used to be the best of the worst league players, being a hard-stuck bronze eye, something that Kaneko had called him earlier before their first 1v1 match. I think that's enough 1v1ing for now, Naruto, Kaneko. Ryuz finally said, and then walked over to the seat on Naruto's left as Akeno and Kiba took theirs next to hers. It's time for you two to show us how to play the game. As Naruto's head immediately perked up at that. Click on the game client and create your accounts first. Naruto pointed his hand on Ria's screen, making her nod her head and do what she was told. After a few minutes, she logged into the game as Crimson Heiress. Akeno and Kiba soon followed her as well, with their names being Thunder Priestess and DEMONKNIGHT1234 respectively. You won't be able to play rank till you're level 30, so let's stick to normal blind picks for now. Kaneko, his account's rank and elo were both too high, increasing the chance of being matched against skilled players, decided to create another account with the name SHIRONEK0 for herself. After spending the next few minutes waiting for Rias and the others to finish the tutorial, the group set up a normal game lobby and joined in together. I will go mid, Naruto declared, excitedly. Jingle, Kaneko said nonchalantly with a hand raised. Yes, I will play top then. Kiba laughed softly into his hand as he went through a number of available champions that he could play and their abilities. Since his account was new, there was only so much he could choose from. Lucho and Akeno-san, you two can play bot lane as ADC and support. Naruto pointed his hand at them, making the two lean forward and look at him in confusion. ADC is attack damage carry, the one with the highest potential damage output in the game. Support is all about making sure things run smoothly for the team. You help facilitate vision control and protect your ADC in bot lane. He explained, proud of his own knowledge of the game. Before he felt a cold chill run down his back, and slowly turned around while laughing awkwardly, to see Kaneko Toju staring at him with half-lidded eyes, and a spoon in her mouth. Ah, I think I get it. Akeno, you will be my support. Rias nodded her head with a confident smile. Let's do our best together, Bucho. The Nadeshiko laughed softly into her hand. Right, if everyone is ready then let's do this. Try not to die too many times, Bronze-senpai. Can you stop calling me that, Kaneko-chan? Man, that was fun. Naruto said as he walked out of the internet cafe with Rias, bidding goodbye to Akeno, Kaneko and Kiba as they headed home in the opposite direction. It had been a while that Naruto could actually play League with friends, and without needing to worry about his LP, and thus, he had played a lot better than normal. Sure, he still fed and died a lot in lane, but there's truly nothing better than playing the game he loved with friends. The 5 of them had played a total of 6 games that evening, and even though 3 of them had been new players, with Kaneko's skills she had carried the team to victory every time. Kiba had some trouble in the first game, but at the end of the day he was incredible, being capable of dodging skill shots, as if he was actually scripting. Akeno, on the other hand, was still working on her map and vision control for the team, because of her support role, but she had been able to play tank support pretty well for a beginner. But his master had been the most surprising of all, but not unexpected, because halfway through the first game, after she had understood League's fundamental gamma plays and its objectives, Rias had started proving herself to be an excellent tactician, by reading the enemy team like an open book and coming up with strategies to counter their movements across the map. Apparently, the Devil had a game called the Rating Game, a strategic competition between 2 devils with their peerages, that was based on the board game chess, and shared many similarities with League. He would love to see the game one day, and wondered if they could make a League of Legend, Summoner's Rift variation of the game. I must admit, the game is more entertaining and challenging than I have expected it to be. Ria said with a small smile as she followed Naruto to the direction of their home. I can see why you like it so much. It has amazing lore too, if you are interested. Naruto pointed out with a grin. The cinematic videos of the game are absolutely amazing, though they always make the community wonder why Riot Games are really a game company, with the way they balance their game. What do you mean? You see how Kaneko-chan jumped into that enemy Jinx with her Rengar, right? Naruto asked with a chuckle, remembering their second game, and how Kaneko basically one-shot her. Yeah, it has been like that for the ADCs for a while now. There are tons of bugs too. Hopefully I won't encounter them when I use my weapons. Naruto joked, making Rias giggle softly into her hand. No, seriously, he would hate to see one of those annoying game bugs in real life. Do you have plans for tomorrow, Naruto? Before the blonde could get the wrong idea, Rias reached for her bag and took out a stack of flyers, all of which had a red magic circle similar to the one that he had seen in the Occult Research Club Clubroom. These are the flyers I have wanted to give you. They will help you establish contracts with your human clients. Do I really have to? Naruto asked, sounding nervous. He had accepted that he was a devil now, but there are things that he's still feeling a bit uncomfortable about. I don't want to kill anyone. It took Rias a moment to realize what it meant, and it took a lot from her to hold back laughter. No, Naruto, we don't take our clients' souls in exchange for our services, at least not anymore. Rias explained to him, while waving her hand in front of her face. We accept compensations now, and get paid in any way that our clients see fit. However, for young devils like you, it's the point that is important. While making contracts is the slowest method, once you have garnered enough points you will be allowed to raise your ranking. One day you can even become a high-class devil, and have your own peerage like me. Ah, I see. Naruto nodded his head with a smile. That didn't sound bad at all. That doesn't sound so bad. I know that tomorrow is Saturday and we don't have school, but try not to stay up too late playing League tonight, and use some time tomorrow morning to hand these flyers out. Rias handed the flyers to Naruto with a small note, and then continued, once you are done, call me with this number. Akeno and I will help you work on your sacred gear and your weapons. Naruto nodded his head in understanding. By becoming a devil, he had become the natural enemy of the two other factions, the angels and their fallen counterparts. If he had to fight them in the future, then just having the power to create those weapons was not going to be enough. He had to know how to use them. Master them, even. Okay, the barrier is set, Bucho. Akeno Himejima said, as she walked down to the riverbank with a smile on her face, where Rias and Akeno were sitting on the grass with a notebook and a laptop between them. All three of them were in casual clothes, with Naruto wearing a white shirt underneath a black and orange hoodie jacket with black pants and matching colored sneakers. Ria's outfit consisted of a tight skinny jeans that hugged the deadly curves of her hips and sexy legs, black sandals and an off-shoulder buttoned shirt that were folded above her midriff, exposing a portion of her flat and toned stomach, while Akeno was wearing a normal white shirt and short black skirt, stopping just above her mid-thighs. As usual, she had her hair tied in a ponytail. Alright Naruto, with the barrier up, no one can see or hear us from the other side. We can run as many tests on your sacred gear and weapons as we want now. Rias explained as Akeno summoned a number of special magic-enhanced training dummies, those that wouldn't break so easily after 1 or 2 hits. So Naruto, you told me that the reason you were killed by the fallen angel Rainer was because you couldn't decide what to use when you awakened your sacred gear for the first time. Yes, Fucho. I was a little overexcited. Naruto answered while grinning sheepishly. Rias could only give him a long look, while Akeno just let out a soft and amused giggle behind her hand. However, neither of them could blame him. There were just so many for Naruto to choose from, and his passion for the game was truly something else. So to avoid wasting time choosing, and getting yourself killed again, I think you need to decide which one should be your main weapon first, your go-to in every situation. Rias then turned to the notebook on the ground, and read his notes from yesterday. Naruto had also told her all the problems with the weapons, that had complicated activation mechanisms as well as trained, and magic-related abilities. Do you have anything in mind, Naruto? Perhaps it can be something that is easy for you to use and utilize its full potential. Seeing the thoughtful look on Naruto's face as he crossed his arms on his chest, Akeno gave a suggestion. Ah, I think I have one right here. With that said, Naruto stood up and raised his hand to summon the weapon that he had in mind. Rias and Akeno covered their eyes, as the light emitting from his hand engulfed his entire body. After a second, after the light had disappeared, the two Onisama of Kuo lowered their hands, to see Naruto standing with a black and white gun with an extended stock in his hand, and something that looked like a rifle barrel attracting to an ammo belt that he wore around his hips. This is the Whisper. Naruto explained Jin's gun. Okay. Rias immediately turned to her laptop, which had League's client opened, and searched for Jin in her champion collection. Amazing. The crimson-haired heiress muttered as she read the descriptions of his abilities with Akeno, who kneeled down next to her, so the gun has 4 shots. Yes, and after that I have to reload. Naruto nodded his head in confirmation. However, the 4th one is the strongest. I have not tried it, but... He then looked at the training dummies and smirked. Okay, shoot them Naruto. Let's see your accuracy. Rias said and pointed her hand at the training dummies Akeno had set up for him, and Naruto nodded his head before taking a stance. Aiming carefully, the blonde pulled the trigger and fired the first shot, making Rias and Akeno raise their hands to cover their ears, hitting the target square in the chest. Okay, that's clearly not a whisper. The Nadeshiko commented. Nice shot by the way, Naruto-kun. I was aiming for the head. Okay then. Rias said while sweat dropping. In the lore, Jin is a meticulous criminal psychopath who believes murder is art. Naruto said before he fired the second shot, hitting the dummy in the chest again. While they were not gun experts, while the gun looked more like a pistol, Rias and Akeno could both tell that it still had the power of an extremely powerful high-caliber rifle, just by looking at the damage it was leaving on the magically enhanced training dummy, which could withstand even a blast of middle-tier offensive magic. The blonde then fired the third shot, and the gun started unleashing a reddish aura with energy swirling around the bullet chamber. Let's see it. And with that, Naruto fired the fourth shot, widening his eyes as his arm flung back, and almost made him fall over. The shot left his gun with an awe-striking bang, and reached its target in a split second, ripping the dummy apart with an explosion, and continuing to travel onward before hitting the bridge several feet away from them, going all the way through before disappearing. Wow. Naruto whistled while looking at the gun in his hand as Rias and Akeno looked at the damage that the fourth shot had done in amazement. Okay, so this pistol is actually the lower half of a sniper rifle. Naruto explained as he removed the barrel from his belt and connected it with the whisper. These two can be connected like this to increase the range and the power of each shot. It's Jin's ultimate ability. Rias nodded and then clicked on the Virtuous's final ability to see how it worked. Indeed, the range and power were increased dramatically. By the way, there's no cooldown, and I can also turn around however I want while aiming this. Naruto grinned and he spun around with the sniper rifle, making Akeno dodge her head before sending him a cute pout. It would be ridiculous if he was stuck in a direction like how Jin was in the game while using the rifle and had to wait like 1.5 minutes to be able to use it again. So long as there were bullets in the gun, he could use it however he wanted. Also, each time I reload, I have to put a full clip of 4 bullets into the gun, or else it can't be fired. Don't ask me why Jin made his gun that way. Naruto told them, while examining the gun and rubbing his chin in a thoughtful manner. Okay, so the gun does have some disadvantages. Rias nodded her head in understanding. What about the weapons of other gunslinger champions? Don't you have to reload them too? The thing is, I don't think I need to. Naruto answered with a shake of his head, making Rias and Akeno widen their eyes in surprise, but they don't pack as much of a punch as Jin's pistol, especially the forced shots. So I take the guns are the most viable choices. What about swords? Rias couldn't help but ask, since swords didn't have activation mechanisms, it would be difficult to perform the abilities they were associated with respectively. However, swords could still be used by slashing it around. She then selected a certain champion, and pointed her hand at his weapon. This one looked good. No? Naruto suddenly said, while waving his hand. No way, I am gonna use that weapon. I hate Yasuo. Before either Rias or Akeno could ask him why, Naruto immediately went on to rant about how Yasuo and his players always ruined his gaming experiences. So no, I am not going to use his sword. Okay, so let's just forget about it. Rias said finally before moving back to the list of champions, looking at the champion right next to Yasuo. What about Yone? That's his brother. Naruto said with a deadpan expression, making the two girls' sweat drop. But you know what, I don't think I have a problem with Yone. So Naruto raised both hands and summoned said champion's weapons, a pair of dual swords that represented his human and demon sides respectively, fitting for someone who used to be a human, but was reincarnated into a devil like him. The sword in his left hand was similar to Yasuo's sword, a wind sword that was made of mortal steel, and shaped like a traditional katana. It was the sword Yone used before he died in the lore. The second sword in his right hand, however, was a demonic weapon with a dark red, seemingly glowing blade and gleaming runes. Yone took this sword from an Azakana demon, after becoming an undead demon hunter. Whoa. However, almost as soon as the Azakana blade had manifested fully in his hand, Naruto was forced to let go of the sword, and let it fall to the ground to back off. Rias and Akeno were also forced to do the same, because the blade suddenly glowed, and unleashed a wave of thick, malevolent dark red ore, that swirled around the blade. Okay, that's going to be problematic. The blonde muttered cautiously. Naruto, be careful. But before Rias could finish, Naruto had already shot forward, threw the mortal sword to the side, and grabbed the Azakana blade, picking it up from the ground, and holding it in his hand. The sword shone and unleashed even more demonic energy in waves, causing the two devils to step back even farther from him. Naruto held the blade firmly in both hands, closing one eye as he felt it struggle as if it was a living, breathing creature. And then suddenly, after 15 seconds of struggling, the aura disappeared, leaving the sword motionless in his hand. The runes near the handle, however, were glowing brightly. Not to self, never summon those darkened weapons. I think I got it. Naruto said as he turned to look at Rias and Akeno, who were both looking at him with their eyes as white as dinner plates. Is there something on my face? He then reached his hand up, and touched his cheek, finding a hard edge there, before whitening his own eye when he realized that there was a mask on his face. Based on its design, it appeared to be the one that Yone wore. Are you sure that thing is safe to use, Naruto? Rias asked worriedly as Akeno summoned a mirror to show him the mask he was wearing. Pretty sure Bucho, I feel fine. Naruto said as he walked back, to pick up Yone's mortal blade, holding both blades vertically with his arms crossing on his chest, taking on Yone's trademark stance. You know what? I have never felt better. He finished, feeling a rush of power that he had never felt before in his life as he held the two-sword firmly in his hands and turned his attention over to the training dummies. The blonde then lowered himself down and then dashed forward, leaving behind a dark red and silvery aura while spinning around, generating a whirlwind that hurled the training dummies in the air before he began to gather his power, generating an aura of dark energy with sparks of fire-like particles and red lightning from all over his body before leaping into the air with another spin, unleashing a storm-like wave of demonic energy with him at the center and destroying the practice tools in the process. The blonde grinned as he returned to the ground, with the pieces of the training dummies dropping around him. Naruto had no idea how he did that though, but it felt right with the Asakana blade in his hand. Since Kuba could help him train with his swordsmanship later, the three of them then went to work on a number of different weapons and gadgets combinations that worked well together. Things like Akali's smoke bombs or Zet's shuriken, which you liked a lot more than the traps, bombs and grenades, could be used at any time, and with anything to give him an edge in battle. Given time and enough training, he might even be able to fight like the Kinko ninjas one day, just not with all the supernatural powers, at least, not yet. Summoning the champions themselves. Ryuz repeated Naruto's words, while Akeno was writing down another weapon combination for him. You think you can do that? I don't know, but I don't think it hurts to try either. Naruto said as he finished the water bottle he had been drinking, feeling a bit drained from overusing his Runeterra arsenal, but Ryuz said over time as he grew stronger as a devil, that shouldn't be a problem anymore. Let's see, why don't you try to summon her? Ryuz said and pointed her hand at Ahari, the nine-tailed fox. From what he had been told when he picked her in a game yesterday, the leader of the Yaokai faction in Kyoto was a Kyuubi, a nine-tailed fox like Ahari. Though, it's worth noting that Ahari was a Gumiho, the Korean demon fox, so obviously there were differences between them. Alright. Naruto nodded and then sat down, folding his legs and putting his hands on his knees, closing his eyes to concentrate. Usually, he would picture the images of the weapons he wanted to summon in his mind, but this time it was the image of Ahari in her splash shard, holding her orb of deception in her hands. He's doing it. He really can do it. Akeno gasped in amazement as she looked at Naruto, surrounded by a brilliant blue orb. A large magic circle then appeared on the ground with Naruto at the center. The Gumiho champion began to take form in front of him. First, it was her voluptuous body in a red and white Korean dress, and then, her 9 flowing white tails formed behind her, with a pair of fox ears twitching on the top of her head with long dark hair as she took her first breath of air, smiling a little as she stretched her arms. Hold on. She then widened her eyes in realization, when she suddenly noticed something. Naruto, stop. Ryuz, who had noticed the absurd drop in Naruto's demonic energy reserve too, put a hand on his shoulder to stop him, before he could continue. Naruto opened his eyes suddenly, and looked at his crimson-haired master before realizing that he was sweating profusely. Ucho, what? Before he could finish that question, Naruto suddenly found himself losing all his strength and passing out. When Naruto woke from his slumber, it had been with a groan. Opening his eyes, the blonde saw that he was back in his bedroom. The warmth under the blanket was perfect and his bare skin felt great against the silk sheets on the bed. Even better was the soft and warm pillow he had wrapped around his arms. The pillow was warm, smooth and incredibly soft with a very familiar sweet scent of mixed roses and lavender. Turning his head, Naruto wasn't surprised to see the pillow he was hugging was actually the body of Ryuz Gremory anymore. The girl had her head tucked into the crook of his neck and her arms tightly wrapped around his waist. Her vibrant crimson hair was spread along the bed the two of them were sharing, and she had her chest pressed right up against Naruto's own. Unlike his first time waking up with her, Ryuz was still fully dressed, but he had no complaints. Ah, good evening Naruto, said the girl with a soft smile on her face as she looked up at him. Did you have a good rest? I did. Naruto said, feeling a lot better than before. Why are you in bed with me again? I'm sharing my demonic power to you to accelerate your recovery, Naruto. You almost emptied your own reserve when you summoned Ahari. You would have died if you had used up all of your demonic power. Ryuz told him, making his eyes white in his surprise and then excitement. So he was right, he could indeed summon the champions too with Runeterra arsenal. She disappeared when you passed out, but Akeno and I felt that she had the same amount of energy that you lost trying to summon her. I see, so I am not ready to summon champions yet. Naruto concluded as Ryuz sat up. If you need a specific amount to summon a specific champion, then yes, you are not ready for Ahari. She's after all, a 9-tailed fox. But Ryuz doubted it would be a problem for too long, because Naruto's energy reserve was ridiculously exceptional, almost equaling that of a high-class devil despite being a newborn devil. And that's without promotion. So who do you think I can summon now, Yumi? Naruto asked, chuckling a little at his own joke. I think so. Naruto smiled as she casted a spell with a red magic circle in the palm of her hand, and used it to check on his condition. I think you're okay now. How long was I out by the way? A little over 4 hours. Normally it would take longer to fully replenish your reserve, but I shared my demonic power with you. Ryu's reminded him as she took out her phone and checked her phone. If you're feeling better, then get dressed. We have a stray devil hunting order from the Archduke. A few minutes later, Naruto found himself walking alongside Akeno, Kaneko, and Kiba as Ryu's led them into an abandoned mansion. It was here that a stray devil was hiding. The walls were cracked and stained. Moss and vines covered much of the structure. The windows were broken, yet the inside was too dark for even their vision to pick out anything. From his understanding, stray devils were servants of high-class devils much like himself, except they had betrayed their masters and went rogue, similar to stray dogs, and because stray dogs cause major problem, they needed to be put down. When they are found by their master, or by some other devil with the order to kill them, they had to be instantly eliminated. This was the law of demons. We've recently received reports that there's a demon who has been attracting humans here to feed on their flesh. Normally, no one would bother with rumors since there are humans that go missing all the time, but these rumors all led to this house. That is usually a sign that a stray devil has taken up residency here. Ugh, so there are devils who eat human meat too? Naruto asked, feeling fortunate that he hadn't had dinner beforehand. The Arias admitted solemnly. The group soon found themselves inside the mansion, where the stench of blood clung heavily to the air. Now Naruto felt truly lucky that he hadn't eaten anything, because the sense of blood and rotten flesh was truly horrible. But this should be a good chance for you to see your skill in a fight. She paused for a second, then added, I will also take some time to explain how the servant system works. Whether you want to join us is up to you. Roger that, Naruto said. You know what chess is, correct? I'm not that addicted to League. Everyone just looked at him, making him add with a forced smile serious. Well, in a manner of speaking, the device I have used to turn you into a devil is very similar to chess pieces, called evil pieces. Like chess, there are the king, the queen, knights, rooks, bishops, and pawns. Each piece has its own unique traits, leading to the creation of the rating game. Ah, I see, so which piece am I? He couldn't help but ask, but before the crimson-haired devil could answer, they heard a voice. What a delicious scent. Everyone immediately turned their attention towards the darkness of the room they were entering. Stray devil visor, we are here to eliminate you. Rhea shouted into the darkness beyond. Naruto widened his eyes, when his ears picked up a dull thud some feet away. Something was coming towards him. What a nice scent. It smells so delectable that I just want to eat you up. Perhaps when I do, I'll get the chance to see if your blood is as red as your hair. Naruto's eyes widened when he saw who it was. A female with messy hair, red eyes and no shirt to cover her naked torso. She would have been a moderately attractive woman if it weren't for the fact that her lower half was anything but human, looking like a mix between a lion and some kind of arachnid, with a tail sticking out of her hindquarters that were covered in fur. Wow, you are even uglier than Ergut. Naruto commented in disgust. What an unsightly appearance. Ryu's crossed her arms under her chest. It suits you well. And you are one pretentious little girl. Visor snarled, and Naruto could see that her human hands were holding onto two bloody javelins. I'm going to enjoy staining your corpse with fresh blood as dark as your crimson hair. Humph. Rhea smirked and took up a gesture of haughty poise. Such delicacy from a small dog. Naruto, see how well you fare against her. Okay. Naruto grabbed Jin's gun, attracted the sniper rifle to it and took aim. But seriously, with a target this big, there's no need for him to aim. He just wanted to see just how powerful the full gun was, that's all. Ha, a gun. I'm not imper. But before she could finish, Naruto had fired the first shot, knocking her down to the ground with a gaping hole on her stomach. The stray devil cried out in pain, but Naruto didn't let her, and continued with the next two shots on her chest and shoulder. Angered, the stray devil charged at them, but Kiba had already darted forward, holding out on either side as his body became nothing more than a blurry streak. Twin swords appeared within his grasp as he reached Visor, slashing and slicing off one of her arms in a spray of blood and flesh. As the rogue devil roared in agony, Ryu spoke. Udo is a knight, and he focuses on incredible speed. So that's why Kiba could move the mouse so fast to dodge every skill shots like he was scripting in League. The handsome prince of Kuo was used to high-speed battle. Die insect. Visor roared as she lifted a foot to squash Kiba flat. The young swordsman did not move an inch as the foot began descending, for at that moment, Kaneko jumped in. Her hand stretched up, and held the woman's gigantic foot above her head without breaking a sweat, much to Naruto's surprise. Kaneko is a rook. Ryuz explained as the ground beneath Kaneko's feet cracked as she liberally pushed the foot she had been holding above her head off, causing Visor to stumble down several feet away. Her traits are insane strength and defense. Take this, the white-haired girl said nonchalantly, and then, using the incredible strength granted to her as a rook, Kaneko pushed forward and was blasted into the air, her left hand clenched into a fist, and crashed straight into Visor's underbelly. The power behind her attack had so much force to it that the much larger devil was blown off the ground and launched into the air, before descending and crashing straight through a wall. Kaneko clapped the dust off her hands, that bored look still on her face. Weak. Wow, you are amazing, Kaneko-chan. Thank you for the compliment, Bronze Senpai. Hey, what the hell? Now, leave the game for gaming time you two. Rhea smiled while waving her hand between them. Ugh, Visor moaned in pain as she tried to pick herself up. How can a group so young be so strong? Last but not least, Akeno. Rhea's called, and Akeno walked forward with her hands clapping in front of her face. In that instance, Naruto couldn't help but feel that there was something extremely disturbing about the normally gentle and pleasant Nadeshiko Yamamoto of Kuo. Now listen, Akeno is my queen. You fucking bitch. Oh my, giggling softly into her hand despite the insult, or possibly because of it too, Akeno tilted her head back and looked down at the stray devil. What a vulgar mouth, I think you need to be punished. Akeno raised her hand and sent sparks of lightning from her fingertips into the air, creating a yellow magic circle with the crest of the Gremory in the center, that then sent out a massive lightning bolt upon the hapless Visor. As a queen, Akeno has all the traits of all other pieces. As Rhea spoke, Akeno began zapping lightning at Visor. Her breathing had picked up drastically, despite an attack of that level not being anywhere near enough to tire someone like her out. There was a heavy blush staining her cheeks as well, and she was squeezing her thighs together, and shuddering in ecstasy every few seconds. Oh my, Akeno licked her lips with a sultry smile as she stared at the horribly charred body of Visor, the small flush on her cheeks increasing to a brighter red. It looks like you can still continue. I wonder how long you can keep this up. Akeno mainly excels in magic. Rhea said she uses natural elements like lightning, ice and fire, but above all else, she is an ultimate sadist. Ugh, so this woman was basically like Evelyn. So much for the gentle and pleasant Nadeshiko Yamamoto of Kuo. But it's hot, nonetheless. Ha! Akeno sighed, her body shuddering with orgasmic bliss as she held a hand to her cheek. It seems that still wasn't enough to kill her. Naruto's sweat dropped as he looked at Visor. If anyone was in a state that Akeno had left her, they would certainly wish to die. I suppose I'll let. She then turned around and walked back to the group, just as Visor used her last remaining strength to attack the sadistic queen from behind with the arm holding the javelin. Kiba rushed forward, but he wasn't as fast as the speed of Naruto's fourth shot, as it gazed Akeno's hair lightly, and hit Visor's elbow, severing everything below it, and making the devil roar in pain. Oh my. Akeno gasped playfully into her hand as she approached him. That was close, Naruto-kun. You could have shot me. Naruto shook his head as he took the gun back, and removed the rifle barrel from the pistol part. Don't worry, Akeno-san. I went to a summer camp when I came from that, you know. What? Thank you. The black-haired woman winked flirtatiously, making the blonde shudder. Deciding to ignore the interesting interaction between her new servant and best friend, Rhea's walked up to the thoroughly defeated Visor, stopping just a few feet away. Her face was face blank, a perfectly compassed mask befitting a devil of her high standing. Do you have any last words? Kill me. Very well then, Rhea smiled, held up her hand, as a dark crimson aura appeared around her body. What looked like a ball of black energy erupted above her palm, and she then let it loose at Visor. The effect was instantaneous, as the orb of black and crimson energy slammed into Visor, swallowing the stray devil whole in an inferno of dark wave-like flame. Once the power had disappeared, Visor was no more, and there was nothing left. Not even drop of blood, to stain the floor with. It's over everyone. Rhea smiled as she turned back to her peerage. Anyone up for some league? And no one was more excited than Naruto. However, as the group began to leave, excuse me, Bucho. Quickly catching up to the beautiful president of the Occult Research Club, Naruto called. Rhea's turned to smile at him. What is it? I was just wondering. The blonde began, you never explained what my role was. You're a pawn. Naruto almost tripped over, and slammed his face on the ground. So much for expecting himself to be a cool piece like Crook or Bishop, or even knight like Kiba. But still, if the evil pieces worked just like chess pieces, then did that mean he could promote himself to become other pieces too? In all honesty, Naruto couldn't help but think that it fit him the most with his arsenal. Don't be so down, Naruto. You are my only pawn, after all. What do you mean? The blonde couldn't help but ask, sounding surprised. Usually, it only needs one evil piece to reincarnate someone into a devil. Those who are exceptionally strong-willed need more than that. Rhea's explained with a smile, but when I reincarnated you, it had to use all 8 pawn pieces to bring you back. It is unheard of even among the matured high-class devils. That means you are very special, Naruto Uzumaki. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want a next part of this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification, and also check out the other videos that I have created, and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.